era. And they do that, human beings can do that by opening up in love, opening up, not clamping down in fear, but opening up to the transformative energies of the universe.
It has been shown that our emotions have a vibratory frequency to them. Furthermore, there are only two emotions that humankind experiences: fear and love. All other emotions branch either directly or indirectly from these two emotions. Fear has a long and slow frequency vibration to it, while love has a very rapid and high frequency. It is very important to understand that when you fear loss, fear death, fear war, fear terrorism, or fear change, you are giving others the ability to control you based on those fears. When you fight against poverty or against racism, when you fight for relationships or for freedom, you are outwardly attempting to repress that which has been placed before you to conquer inwardly. These situations are mirrors of our fears.
The end of a cycle is not about a final destruction. It's about transformation and renewal. That is basically the information that we have. But there's a crisis that humanity is going through. This is part of the prophecy, you might say. And it's a prophecy that provides general insights into what we might call the science of cycle dynamics. It's not so much a prophetic tradition that says an earthquake's going to happen or the poles are going to shift on this date or something like that. The general insight of the Maya prophecy is that at the end of the cycle, there's a deity in the creation myth. He's called Seven Macaw, and he exemplifies vain egoism. So this archetype will be seizing humanity, and it'll be controlling and deceiving humanity. And this is the prophecy for the years leading up to 2012. And certainly, I certainly wouldn't have to convince you that we look around us and we look at world leaders that are just deceiving and controlling humanity and trying to keep people stuck and limited and keep them unconscious. I think that it's all about keeping the clamp on. They're trying to keep the clamp on so that people cannot become more conscious and take back their rights as human beings.
This is the difference between the power of our Creator and anything else, particularly evil. That you can go into a pitch black room full of evil, full of darkness, and light a little candle, and instantly that darkness flees. But you can't do the opposite. You can't go into a well-lit room full of truth and wisdom and righteousness and joy and health and harmony with the universal power. You can't take any amount of darkness and go into that well-lit room and have any effect whatsoever. That is the metaphor which I frequently think of when I think that I'm not empowered. It is the greatest lesson for me, and I think for everybody else, to know that we're on the winning side and that we win in the end.
I think that 2012 does represent a paradigm shift, and I'm not sure if it's going to be something new under the sun. It might be, what I really feel like it's going to be is it's going to be putting our ego-driven obsessions and institutions back into right relationship with what we might call a higher wisdom or a higher guiding force. So in that sense, it'll be a huge paradigm shift, but in a larger sense, it'll really be a return back to the perennial, universal principles that have guided a lot of the ancient spiritual traditions even long ago.
We are capable of only two primary emotions: love and whatever we feel the opposite of love is. And when you get really deep into the teachings, there are two aspects of the same thing.
Our biggest issue, stress. Because what a spiritual being doesn't have any stress. They don't care. Just something to do today. Got myself in it, I'll get myself out of it. I'm responsible. But the mental, emotional, and physical self has a few little kinks. So the biggest issue in this transformational point in the changing face of time is the reduction of stress.
So what we know is this, is that we have the opportunity to influence that field in ways now that we're only beginning to understand. It's done through the human heart. It's not a thinking process. Thoughts are important. But the ancients made a distinction between thoughts and feelings and emotions. And it's the feelings that are centered in our heart, what are called coherent, heart-based emotions. We know that when we feel a feeling of love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, when we change the self-esteem, that there is an effect from that it changes the electrical and the magnetic fields in our heart, and that those fields literally change the stuff that our world is made of around our bodies. Our hearts are the strongest magnetic field in our bodies.
The secret is that we have tremendous power, and we do not realize our power, and this is the biggest secret because the authorities are frightened. They're scared. That if human beings were really able to access their power, then the genie is really out of the bottle. Absolutely. They would lose their hold over us. Absolutely. And they would, they would never be able to get that hold back. And therefore, that's why there is this multifaceted operation to dumb us down, to keep us to keep us entertained with reality shows and baseball games.
We have the rarest opportunity to, with our thoughts, hearts, and individual ideals, dawn a new age. To contribute to dawning a new age. Because the changing face of time is our participation in every moment that we spend here. What does that mean to us? The greatest opportunity to be a part of a shifting consciousness to bring more compassion, more caring, more love, and more support to our friends and neighbors. All the terrifying stuff, to me, only makes it more exciting, because you will never die. You were chosen to come to this world, and you chose to come to this world. End of story. You were chosen to come because the divine architect believes that there is no one better suited than you at a certain time, at a certain place, at a certain point in the unfoldment of the spiritual world into the physical world by way of you for an event to occur. You are the divine system that a physical, spiritual matter, person, or being, or consciousness can move through you and manifest into this rock in the middle of a solar system. And you're here because they decided, as they're unfolding from that dimension of reality into this dimension of reality, there's nobody better than you to be able to execute that particular precise moment, whether it be once or 1,000 times, than you. So the fact that there may be anybody else on the earth just like you is 1 in 16 billion. Well, there's only 6 billion, 300 or 400 million suckers here. So guess what? You the one. So get over it. And stay out of your own way. Your biggest problem in the changing face of time is getting in your own way. Because you're all filled up with sin and guilt and evil and can't pay the rent and blah, 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 blah. Well, you created those situations because the spiritual nature of life on earth is to create obstacles so that you can, in mental, emotional, and spiritually, figure out how to overcome them.